Welcome to Security Live. This is a show about AWS security and AWS partners helping to solve those security challenges for you, our customers out there. You can find us on Twitch every third Tuesday of the month from 1 to 2 Pacific. We're your hosts. I'm Ryan Orsi, in charge of the AWS Partner Network Cloud Foundations Partners, joined by...
Hi, I'm Merritt Baer. I am in the Office of the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer here at AWS. And today we have another cool conversation for you. We are going to have a neat conversation around how you can solution for us. And with us. So John, can you hop in, tell us who you are, why this matters for customers, and how we partner?
Sure. I'm John Morello. I'm the VP of Product for the Prisma Cloud product at Palo Alto Networks. I was the CTO at Twistlock, which was a big AWS partner for container security and kind of defined that space. Palo Alto Networks is really an industry leader, truly, in the security area, and we really work with AWS and help AWS customers in a variety of ways, really across all three of the portfolio areas for Palo Alto Networks. So obviously Palo Alto Networks is very well known for redefining firewalls with Next-Gen Firewall back 15 years ago. We have thousands of customers in AWS that are utilizing our VM series firewalls and CN series, which is our containerized firewall, as well as the integration that we have with AWS Firewall and our Firewall as a Service capability. Cortex is our SOC and analytics product, and obviously has a lot of advantages for customers that are looking to stitch together data that they get from the cloud, as well as data that they might get from traditional assets and endpoints, and of course Prisma Cloud, which is entirely focused on helping customers find, remediate, and most importantly probably prevent security problems in their cloud providers.
John, tell me how you perceive, so I think that proactive security gets an interesting nomenclature, and we think of it in part as something that we are doing that customers don't see. You know what I mean? That they inherit and feel because we see bad stuff and work to create managed rule sets, for example, or guard duty findings. You know, like that it's proactive in the sense that we are going after stuff and also helping them to see what they do not see themselves because we see it across the platform. Tell me how you think about that within Prisma and how that fits within the AWS story.
Well, I mean, I think that it's all related, right? I mean, we absolutely, encourage customers to follow all the AWS best practices about how to build their environment securely, how to operate them securely, and of course, just like our customers are, we're also, an AWS customer. That's where Prisma Cloud runs, and so we really take advantage of all of those capabilities too. It's going great. Yeah,
that wasn't planted.
Yeah,
that wasn't planted.
Exactly.
No, it really wasn't.
I
just care. Look, you're a customer. I want to know what.
Absolutely, no, it's true. But I mean, it's always you guys did, I think, really define this notion of a shared responsibility model, and that's ultimately the best way to think about it. I mean, there's aspects that the provider offers. You guys make sure you're doing background checks on employees and physically secure data centers, and the hypervisors separating one EC2 instance from another, and all that kind of good stuff. And what we really see as our role is to help customers kind of on top of that, in that layered model. How do we help them find problems that might exist because something is misconfigured, or maybe they're using vulnerable software, now they've gotten compromised, and how do we help contain that? How do we detect that soon enough and prevent that?
I'd love just to say a few more words, if you could say more words about, you said the word misconfigured.
Yeah.
Hot topic in my world across the AWS Partner Network. Sometimes the basics are missed, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes innovation outpaces best practice.
Yeah.
I'm curious, misconfiguration. What is misconfigured? What does that mean to somebody out there thinking about building an app or moving an app into AWS?
No, it's a good question. I mean, I think, like most intelligent people that are AWS customers probably know a lot of fundamental security best practices and could recite them to you. Like, for example, with IAM, you should have a least privilege approach to security, right?
Sure.
I don't think most people would argue with you that that's the right way to do things. However, the reality that people come up against oftentimes is IAM is like this amazing service with this incredible amount of configurability and granularity with it. And most people would say, like, yeah, you should only have the permissions that are required for your particular role, right? You have an app that just reads from an S3 bucket, that's all the permission that it should have. But what often happens with customers is somebody's building the app, they're testing it, they say, I just need read access. And so you give them just read access. And then a couple days later, like, well, I also need this, and I also need that. And they come back a few days after that, and they need something else. And eventually somebody says, okay, I can't deal with this. I'm just going to make you admin.
Just open it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
just do the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so one of the things we try to do is to help find where those problems exist and give people a policy-driven way to prevent it from being misconfigured in the first place, and to really be able to leverage those best practices.
You're giving me heartache, but also I know that is commonly true. I mean, folks, I think there's two levels here. One is that there will never be enough, intentionally, there will never be enough visibility on our side that we know exactly what customers are doing, which is why the second part is they want to kind of vend themselves more managedness. Right. So some of that will be in the form of managed stuff that we produce, but there will always be a place for partners to come in and say, let us help you do that. Let us tell you what we see. Let us see. I mean, Palo Alto is a huge company that sees visibility across a lot of different industries, a lot of different players, across threats and other indicators. And I think there's a lot of, benefit that you can impart to customers who are looking for more managedness. They're like, I would like more of a Barbie dream house and less of Home Depot.
Well, I mean, what you said there about the visibility and the breadth of what we have is really one of the key things that people get as a value that we provide to them. And it's not just other customers that are utilizing Prisma Cloud, but I mean, we've got literally millions of Palo Alto Networks next-gen firewalls that are out there around the world. All of those see all these threats. They have all these threat indicators. A lot of
telemetry.
Yeah, exactly. They have all of these files that are passing through them every day that we're analyzing with our wildfire service. And all of that data that we've got also enriches what we do on Prisma Cloud. So if somebody's running a containerized app on EKS and somehow that application downloads a new binary, is that okay? Is that normal? Well, we can actually check that binary against what we know from wildfire and to be able to tell you whether or not that's something that we think is safe or shouldn't be allowed and so forth. And so that's really one of the ways that we can really enrich the capabilities that AWS already provides by just giving additional telemetry, additional knowledge that we have across all of our product sets to help them secure that environment they have on AWS.
And it feels like that's extra context, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Like from different application types, right? Someone's building a thing, a widget, a product, a solution inside the cloud. You bring that extra context in, right? Which can specifically kind of inform them, like this behavior, right? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it risky?
Right.
Is it not risky? I think that's a great value add of it.
Well,
Great example.
I think broader, we know something about security, and in particular around patterns and bad behaviors and bad actors, which is that well, one, build your house, right? I mean, set up your...
The dream house?
No, that's different. That's the allusion to managed services. This is just the eat your veggies part, right? So lock your front door, do the stuff that you already know you should be doing, take care of your... But I like your allusion to least privilege because that's one of those things where everyone will agree with it, and it's and how do we do that? What form does that take? How do we get there? How do we grow up? How do we graduate and mature and kind of embrace the functionalities too? Because the growing up will take the form of enriching with all these analytics that we now have the benefit of now that everything is an API call.
Yeah, and I think what you just said there, everything being an API call, kind of everything as code is another place that we add value on top of that AWS platform because we enable customers to be able to find vulnerabilities and insecure configurations in CloudFormation templates when they exist in a Git repository, and then when you're actually doing a build in Jenkins or some other CI tool that you might be using, at deployment time when you actually try to create that EKS cluster or invoke that Fargate task, we enable you to find those vulnerabilities early and to have a policy-driven way to say hey, I don't want to allow any container image that's in ECR that has a high vulnerability that's existed for more than 30 days from being able to be deployed into my high security EKS cluster. You can be that granular and you can allow Prisma Cloud to provide basically those guardrails to make sure you're only doing those things that have been intentionally, allowed by policy.
And that policy's guardrails, that specific example you just gave, would that line up to your initial statement of how Palo helps enforce a policy of least privilege?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love when we get specific.
So here's the thing, right? We're talking about the ability to do granular, policy-driven security. Security is code, but by enforcing policy is sort of like lowercase p versus uppercase p. There are security inheritances that you get from the ability to do that, and then you can also inform them with security content-driven policies,
Correct.
which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of really cool, John, this conversation has been super cool.
You're such a dad.
You like that?
I can't.
You like that?
No.
I saved my dad jokes for the end.
No, this
Let's
is
save
not
it for the
even a
end.
joke.
We do have a fixed time today. We have to jet soon, but I wanted to ask you kind of an ending question of what's for dinner tonight.
What's for dinner tonight? I have no idea at this point. Well, we'll have to see what I feel like.
Wild
in an hour or
card.
two.
I like
Yeah.
it. Thank you, John,
Wild
for
card.
joining us today.
All right,
Wild
thanks for having me.
stars in your dinner policies, not in your policies.